You're not Gregory.
Things started changing. But then, he started appearing.
It's me. I think I need to explain a few things. You were never supposed to go to the pizza place. That thing in the sinkhole tricked you. I really don't know what it is, but it's been trapped down here a really long time. The MXES security program was designed to keep it hidden, but you shut down the security, and now it's free. It's not your fault. I know you did it for me, to save me, but we can't risk being followed. I'm sorry.
Gregory?
Hello, and welcome to what I'm assuming is going to be my first video on this channel, and my first video in long enough that I forgot how to use iMovie. Everyone is talking about Secret of the Mimic. Unfortunately, I have to join the trend because it's all I can think about, and I want to scream into the void about it, instead of to one of my friends who doesn't know anything about FNAF. Before we start, I would like to preface with a small disclaimer that I am not as informed on the Steel Wool era of FNAF as I am for the rest of the games, and do not claim to be correct about any of the speculation I'm providing. I'm entirely open to being wrong, and am willing to accept criticism and reinterpretations. This is all for fun, and I hope that I can have any polite conversations with people that want to. Another warning, this is going to spoil the lore implications for Secret of the Mimic, but not the plot. That being said, I recommend watching a playthrough if you haven't yet played it yourself. Without further ado, let's get into the speculation. I'm going to be covering the general lore that I believe that Secret of the Mimic adds to the current game's timeline. It begins with Murray's costume manor, which I will be calling MCM, so I don't have to say the full name each time. Edwin Murray seems to inherit this company from his father.
This is all so much. He's gone. He's gone, and now everyone is asking me what to do? And I don't know anything. I can't run a company. I'm not ready. I can't fill his shoes. He knew it. Everyone knew it. The company is going to collapse, and they're all going to hate me.
Ed, you'll figure it out. Just take a deep breath. It's your company now. Your dad believed in you.
He marries his co-worker, Fiona, who frequently designs characters for the company.
Happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday, sweetie. Mommy made this special for you.
Wow. Fiona, he turned out great. I think it's your best one yet. David, look at this. Look. Arr.
MCM often contracts with Fazbear Entertainment, or FE, or Fazbear, as I will refer to it as either or, meaning that FE comes to MCM with requests and designs, and MCM delivers. Judging by the Fredbear's Family Diner posters around, MCM did not create Bonnie, Fredbear, or Freddy, the company's namesake. We do know that Fiona Murray designed Chica and Foxy, however. I'm unsure if Chica's Party World, which finally we get to know what that is, was a Fazbear establishment or an NCM one, but either way, FE bought the rights to Chica and Foxy. The spring locks, regardless of what popular opinion seems to be, were still probably created by Henry. Not only did he make them in the novels, but he refers to the animatronics as his creations in the game, specifically in Pizzeria Simulator / FNAF 6 Insanity Ending.
Small souls trapped in prisons of my making.
I actually love referencing this ending, since this is the one where Henry sends you to get a lobotomy, and yet people are surprised when he's kind of a piece of shit in Secret of the Mimic. Ultimately, it seems that FE asked Edwin to use the spring locks, and he made his own, probably safer design that FE never used. I mean, if they did, then a lot of stuff wouldn't have happened. FE didn't use a lot of the stuff they ordered from Edwin. That wasn't the goal. You see, Edwin was bright and had good tech, but he wasn't a businessman. His inventions failed, frequently. Whether William and Henry saw these cracks from the start or only after Edwin started to spiral is unclear, but we'll get there. Speaking of William and Henry, Edwin seems close to them, or at least to Henry.
Test. Journal entry. I got the change order from Hen last night.
Fellas, is it gay to call a man hen? Whether Henry just worked with Edwin frequently due to the frequent deals with his company, or was a poached member of MCM is never explicitly stated. But if Henry was an MCM employee, he couldn't have founded Fredbear's Family Diner. The advertisements for it around MCM make it appear to be a separate, pre-existing establishment that partners with MCM. So either William founded it and Henry joined later, or they both founded it and Henry never worked for MCM. Only worked with it. Henry's only ever referred to the founder of Fredbear's in the novels, which is definitely supporting evidence, but due to the differences between the games and novels, I don't think either possibility has been confirmed. It doesn't change much. I'd call it personal preference. Whatever narrative makes their Henry and Edwin's gay divorce more tragic. Either way, Edwin and Henry work together, which is why Edwin seems to share a lot of concepts with Henry, such as the puppet, and he improved on his spring locks. Edwin cared about him, but whether or not Henry was using him from the start is unclear. I'll get to the MCM Fazbear split later, as it seems to happen following Edwin's spiral. Edwin and Fiona advance the company with themselves as the faces as Mr. and Mrs. Helpful. Then they have a son named David. And where the fuck is his ball? Prior to Fiona's death, it seems that she had had the sense to give him a human babysitter.
Trisha will babysit David while I'm gone.
She was busy, and Edwin had the tendency to lose himself in his work, even if it meant neglecting David's safety.
Look, I get your concerns. I do. But they're all just groundless. This is the perfect spot for David's playground.
All right, Edwin.
I can watch him play while I'm loading and unloading freight, and he'll be under watch at all times. The loading dock is like 200 feet away, and there's a fence and everything. I know you're my lawyer and all, but there's no regulation that says I can't have it there, so just get off my back.
Fiona, we know, died because she was somewhere she wasn't supposed to be.
Oh, why did you go? You weren't even supposed to be there. You were supposed to be here with me and David. Oh, how am I supposed to tell David that his mother is gone?
We also know she attended Fall Fest without consulting Edwin prior.
I hope this message reaches you as soon as you get a break. I have to go help the Fall Fest crew, just for a few days until the installation is finished.
Between the statue in Moon.exe where the woman is burnt and there's a Fall Fest snow globe, I believe that Fiona died in a Fall Fest fire. While there isn't much evidence of foul play, it is worth noting that the Help Wanted 2 implies that the 1983 Fall Fest also ended in a fire. Fiona couldn't have died in 1983 if Secret of the Mimic takes place in 1979, meaning that this was probably a 1970s Fall Fest. If William was already after Edwin's company, removing his wife from the equation would be one hell of a way to do it. Even if we believe that he resorted to murder after his son's death, he would have had to be morally dubious enough to go that far regardless of his son's situation. So Fiona dies, and Edwin spirals. He buries himself in his work, but it's too much for him to take on without help. He's been experimenting with mimicking technology for a while. It's in his coffee pot, his mushroom toys, and a lot of his projects.
I am always watching and learning.
They repeat any song they hear or anything you say.
He didn't realize that it would pick up Fiona's voice until he hears it in a radio signal.
This is where I heard it. It's her or someone that sounds like her. Set frequency to 4625. Hello? Hello?
Oh my god.
Is anyone there? Over. Say something. It's me, Edwin. Over.
That's good, honey, but soon things apart.
That's when he gets the idea.
This is M1.
Why does it look like that?
Look like what?
It's scary.
Oh, it's an endoskeleton. It won't always look like this. It'll wear fun costumes.
Like what?
Anything you want. It can fit into any costume we've created. Think of it as your new babysitter.
If there's two things we know about this, it's that his name is Edwin and he made the mimic. As difficult as it was to put the pieces together, he still did. It was only the first model, so we called it Mimic 1, or M1 for short. M1 was meant to do more than mimic actions or words. It was meant to mimic people entirely. Become them, if need be. He could use this for future characters and costumes, but for now, there was one use he had in mind. When he wasn't training M1 to take Fiona's place, he was using it to babysit David. At first, to David, that's all M1 is. But when Edwin trains M1 to the extent where it is indistinguishable from the real Fiona in his eyes, he can't go back. Not that it is Fiona. Fiona was full of life. She liked tofu, and she's right, it is great. Does character design for a living, has a persona that married her husband's persona, likes making and playing with puppets. She's silly and fun and sometimes awkward and a bit abrasive. M1 as Fiona was trained to be a wife. It was trained to be a mother. It isn't any of those other things.
I miss you. But I miss my child more.
But M1 eventually becomes David's mother, his real mother. And Edwin wants to replicate this technology. After all, it's fascinating. It could be exactly what he needs to make his big break, to get his money back, to fix his life. When he tries to make the mimic, again, he can only get it to rudimentarily copy basic actions and phrases like his previous inventions had. He doesn't know what he did to make M1.
Every copy has failed. I don't even know why it worked the first time. But it did. It's just not ready.
So eventually he settles on the creation of M2, an endoskeleton that is similar to M1, with the goal of watching David as he figures out how to properly replicate M1. Edwin is buried in his work, and Fazbear notices. They keep changing the orders, making him change the designs from Fiona's old ones, knowing he'll refuse.
Oh, first they approve the art, then they approve the proofs. Now they change their minds. Well, we're so close to final. Why would they change them now? Are they pulling my leg? The new concepts are frankly creepy. It doesn't matter. I'm not changing a single bit of her work, and they can't make me.
They ask for more advanced spring locks, for prototypes, for an entire sample restaurant.
I'm almost done. Why change it now? It would be so much easier to keep using the spring locks.
Edwin is losing time and money, and David is almost always alone with M2. Edwin builds him a playground, but it's dangerously close to the shipping yard. Edwin's employees have begun to take notice of his spiral. He's never with them, he's grown unstable, and they keep hearing Fiona's voice. How can they trust him if he might be covering up his wife's death?
I baked it myself for David's special day.
Great job. You just continue to surprise me. All right, I think we're ready. Okay, everyone hide. Fiona, go get him. I left him out at the playground.
It's a few days before David's birthday when it happens. Edwin sends M1 to fetch David from the playground. The playground isn't safe, we know this. But M1 may also be involved. In Moon.exe, Sun is used to represent Fiona. Sun, in the minigame, gives you a baby owl mask if you fix a Bonnie, Freddy, and Foxy masks for her. Only, your pet baby owl disappears when this happens. A baby owl that seems to represent David. I've also seen people use the fact that her stove supposedly smells like chicken as further evidence, but I assume that was an explanation to Chica's absence in the mask set. The meaning is still clear. Destroy the real for a fake. Maybe M1 wanted a son more like it. Maybe it wasn't involved at all. Either way, David dies. Either way, Edwin breaks. Multiple people take advantage of this. Edwin struggles to keep up with orders and goes further into debt. William Afton offers MCM employees higher salaries and bonuses if they can poach other employees. He encourages Henry to take his designs and leave. Henry does. Edwin grows more and more isolated. No one trusts him, and he doesn't trust them. M1 insists he can't.
Attention, traitors. Admin wing permissions have been revoked. And no, you can't clear out your desks. You stole my work.
It's not safe. They wouldn't understand.
His company collapses. Fazbear buys him out. William buys the property and offers to give him a job and leave his house undamaged. But Edwin doesn't trust him anymore. M2 copies his son one day. Maybe it repeats his voice. Maybe it repeats his action, the way he cradled his stuffed tiger every day. And it sets Edwin into a spiral.
Stop. You're not him. You're not.
Oh.
Stop sounding like him.
He beats M2, removing its legs and locking it away because it's not his real son. He thinks that's the end of it. It's not real, and he's been faking it for far too long. The Mimics only learned a cool new form of conflict resolution. I'll give you a hint. It's called violence. M1 insists Edwin repair M2. Fiona wants her son back.
It happened, and you have to deal with it. You did it before. We can fix things together. I am here to help.
But Edwin has begun to realize that he's living a lie. He doesn't want to see M1 ever again.
Oh, who am I kidding? You're not really you. So stupid.
Edwin, calm down and give it some thought. Try again. Make another, and we can all be together.
All this time wasted? I should have been having fun with him, playing games and teaching him how to make things. But I didn't. You. I let a machine raise my kid. You're not real. What was I thinking?
You do not mean that. It is me. I'm Fiona.
Stop talking like her. You're not her. I never want to hear or even think about you ever again. Ever!
So he destroys her physical body and confines her to the F10N4 computer, which seems to be related to MXES, but we'll get there. I'll be calling her F1 for now. He stops responding to the computer. M1 is alone. M2, however, has learned everything it needed to from Edwin. It builds new legs. It breaks out from wherever Edwin left it, and it comes to Edwin's office to do onto him as he did onto it. Break him. Break his legs.
Help! M2! Respond! Emergency! Call for help! Daddy's busy, buddy. Why don't you go outside and play? Please! I can't move. I can't feel my legs. You know, speaking of legs, what do you think? I just finished mine.
Edwin isn't heard from again, and I doubt he's alive. M2 is on the loose. Through Secret of the Mimic, M1 has one goal: fix M2. It doesn't care if you die. It just wants the schematics and the data diver, which, as revealed in the Moon.exe ending, is the only way to turn M2 into a proper mimic of David. I don't think this is the canon ending. I think M2 failed. I think M2 escaped. We don't know how M2 ended up under the Pizzaplex, but I don't think it's unrealistic to assume that William, becoming the new owner of the property, would uncover M1 and M2. It's unclear how long M2 was loose. It's free in 2 of the 3 endings, one of which is probably the canon ending, and Gregory only says the Mimic has been trapped for a long time. Well, it's not Gregory, but we're getting there. In the Parachute.exe ending, Cradle.exe seems to contain M2 using the Mechanical X-Form Experimental Storage, or MXES. We don't know much about MXES, or maybe we do and I just wasn't keeping up. But its main appearance is in Ruin. In Ruin, MXES appears in the digital plane as a rabbit to keep a desired object contained. The rabbit-like appearance is strange, since rabbits are typically only associated with William in this franchise. However, I think that the intention of making MXES a rabbit is mostly for the plot twist. We're supposed to assume MXES is the antagonist, only to discover that he's been trying to prevent everyone from the Mimic in the first place. It seems MXES, and by proxy, the entity that it materializes as, was designed by Edwin and possibly M1. However, I don't think MXES is M1. Yes, M1 wants you to trap M2 with MXES, but this doesn't align with Ruin. MXES actively keeps you away from the Mimic, even though Cassie holds the Phas wrench that could serve a similar purpose to the more rudimentary Data Diver. Why would M1 keep away someone who could help? Why would M1 work against M2? Especially when M2 doesn't work alone in Ruin. William, obsessed with immortality and legacy, I think, wouldn't hesitate to mess with M1, utilize it, make it learn from him, something to keep a piece of it before he dies. That or M1 goes unfound, alone, until game designers for Help Wanted find its code and copy it.
They sent us that stuff in the first place with no explanation, told us to scan it, said it would expedite the process so we wouldn't need to program any pathfinding ourselves. It was a budget thing, I guess. It was just junk. Circuit boards and things like that.
Whether it's a copy or the original M1 manipulated by William, the program learns from the Help Wanted game. It becomes Glitchtrap. And all Glitchtrap wants to do is copy the same tragedy William created decades ago. That's why it has the ability to code multiple characters with distinct personalities. The Glamrocks. Why it can mimic voices.
I just really, really hope that the next development team finds this before the game is released to the public.
But why it also moves independently of M2. Because the thing is, Glitchtrap and Ruin's mimics do not align. In Help Wanted 2, Vanny crushes Glitchtrap and the damage is visible in Ruin. But an entity similar to Glitchtrap remains. Something that uses Helpy to encourage Cassie to the basement, that works with the Mimic. We know quote-unquote Gregory throughout the game is M2, but even though Helpy shares aspects with M2 physically, with the orange eyes, for example, he's not M2. They directly contradict each other at times.
Yeah, with my help, I have been helping with the signal jammer. That rabbit thing won't bother you anymore.
No, once Glitchtrap is destroyed, the M1 program reverts to its original state. Before William. Before it forgot what it was. In the scene where Gregory drops the elevator, he uses original dialogue that doesn't mirror the reused audio clips that M2 uses. However, M1 appears to speak like Fiona in Secret of the Mimic, even saying things Fiona has never said. So while M2 is in the basement, M1 is the one that speaks to Cassie. M1 is the one that drops the elevator. It doesn't seem like M2 had any digital influence anyway, since it is confined to the endoskeleton. The only question, I suppose, is what now? M2 would have dropped the elevator to prevent M2 from escaping, but also possibly to use Cassie's Phas wrench to fix it. But what does that mean in the post-Glitchtrap era? Is M1 Fiona again? And even if she is, could M2 still become David? I can't say I'm sure myself where this is going, but I wanted to get my thoughts and understanding out in advance. There's a lot of plot holes and weak evidence here and there, so I'm open to additional ideas of what could have happened between Secret of the Mimic and the construction of the Pizzaplex. This is a first video, and it's probably far from my best work, but I had fun for making it. Thanks for watching, and this has been an explanation of Secret of...